Hi everyone, welcome to our live session of today. We are really excited to have you here. If you're new, welcome. If you've been here with us before, welcome back. My name is Laura Lorza. I am a clinical psychologist and a yoga teacher. And today we are going to be talking about something that I know that a lot of you have been curious about, and a lot of you have been frustrated with it, and we are talking about drinking. We are talking about our drinking habits, why willpower alone basically setting you up to fail, and when we rely only in the motivation, it's also setting up for failure. And before you think like, oh great, there is another talk, another lecture about drinking and about drinking less, I want to be clear on this. This is not about telling you what to do or how to drink. This is not about shame, or this is not about labeling you or labeling anyone really. This is more about understanding the brain and understanding the brain, how powerful it can be to work with your brain and not against it, so you can develop and you can reach those personal goals that you have. And I want to start by painting a picture, and it's Saturday. You've had a great week and you're celebrating with your people, you're hosting, everyone is having fun. There's cheers, there's snacks, there's like a lot going on, and you have the best intentions and say, okay, I'll just have two and let's see how the night goes. But after 4 hours, you are not entirely sure what happened, but you drank more, and maybe you're feeling guilty or maybe you're feeling down. And this is something that can be so familiar to many, many people. And this is not about willpower or failure. This is more about the unconscious brain making the decisions for you before you even knew the decisions were made. And today we are going to unpack what is actually happening with those patterns, with those drinking patterns, without judgment, so you can understand. And we're going to be talking about the default mode network. We're going to be talking about the autopilot. We're going to be talking about how your body holds the key to that connection of emotional regulation, and to break that connection, and what alcohol does to your brain from a neurological standpoint, and how creating real lasting change can come from moderation, how it works, and not through white knuckling your way through not drinking. It's more about understanding those unconscious patterns and creating a transformation that will last. So I want to start first with something that I think it's so important, and that change how we understand human behavior. And it is a network called the default mode network, or for short, the DMN. And this was discovered a while ago, and it is your brain's ability to go into that default mode, like factory mode. And it's like whatever it's running on the background, it's still there, but there's like a lock screen. So that's the DMN. So the default mode network lights up when you are not focused on the outside world, but when you're focused on the inside world. So when you are daydreaming on the commute to work, or you are spacing out while you're doing something else, this is where this network comes to life, and you start doing like this automatic behaviors. And this sounds very benign in a way, but there's something very interesting about it. The DMN is responsible for thinking about the past, about memories and replaying conversations and regrets. It's also responsible for thinking about the future, so the planning, the worrying, the imagining, all the scenarios, and thinking about yourself. So it's that self-referential thinking, like how you talk about yourself, what's the narrative, what's the story that you're telling yourself. So it's basically the brain's way to create the storytelling of your life. And it can be very beautiful, and it can get very creative, but it also can be part of a problem, because the default mode network can become overreactive, and it can become that overreaction can become a rumination, and instead of planning, it becomes anxiety, and instead of recalling a memory, it becomes an embarrassment of something that you did or something that you said. And instead of like maybe seeking for connection, you're seeking for connection through other substances. And that's where alcohol comes in and becomes so important, because alcohol kind of quiets down that self-referential thinking, and it numbs the conversation whenever you're being harsh on yourself, or the storytelling is being very tough, and it becomes rumination. And it kind of just like breaks that story, so you can focus on something else. And that's why at first it becomes so interesting, and it's a way to relax, and it feels like a relief. But really, it's not about the taste of alcohol. It's more about numbing yourself and silencing that default mode network. But like, for example, if you think about it, after a very stressful week, after your boss was a lot, your kids were a lot, the work was a lot, traffic was a lot, the DMN is going really, really hard on you, and it can be very judgmental, and it's replaying everything that didn't go as planned. And that's when alcohol comes in and says like, shh, like pause, it's okay, you can relax and find relief. And the problem is that when we do this constantly over time, our brain starts to expect that help of alcohol as the only way to find relief, because our brain is made for associations. That's its main job. And this isn't about moral failing. This is more about a neurological pattern. So now we ask ourselves like, okay, this is kind of like odd news. So I'm having like how my brain works is it's something super unconscious and internal, and it's been running for a while. And this is kind of bad news. But there is good news. There's actually good news, because we have neuroplasticity, which is your brain's ability to rewire itself. And it has that capacity, but you need to understand that what's happening behind the scenes first to know how to activate that neuroplasticity. So it's to understand what's happening beyond the DMN, and it's something happening within your body that it's called the interoception. Interoception. So it's the interoception. And this is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated psychological concepts there is. So I want to describe it a little bit so you understand what I'm talking about when I'm talking about interoception. And it's about emotional regulation. So let me ask you something right now. And in this moment, can you feel your heartbeat without touching your chest? Can you feel hungry without like touching your stomach? Or not in, I know it's lunchtime, but I actually feel like my stomach is empty. Or can you tell the difference between anxiety and excitement, physically speaking? So that ability the ability to differentiate, to feel your heartbeat, to feel hunger, to differentiate between anxiety and excitement, that ability, it's the sense and the interpretation of what's going on within your body and inside your body. And that is called the interoception. So it's the ability to understand what's going on inside us. And this is so important and fundamental for emotional health. And the reason why is that emotions aren't just thoughts, aren't just like images that go through your brain, but emotions are also experienced in your body. So fear can be your heart racing, or grief can feel like a weight in your chest, and anger can heat up your whole body, and it can just like make you clench your jaw. And your body registers the emotion and the emotional states before the conscious awareness. So that's why when we talk about teaching emotions to the kids, we are talking first about how does it feel in your body. And it's sad, but as adults, we lose that connection and we lose that touch of understanding what's going within our body. So now, like, research on high-risk populations, so people, like individuals, they have found that something is really, really striking. People who have very low interoception sensibility, which means they can't distinguish the ability to notice their own internal bodily sensations, those are more likely to develop a way or a different coping skill to help them understand. So one of them is using alcohol. And there's a chance and there's a chain, which is low interoception creates emotional dysregulation and creates an alcohol craving. So it means like there are the low emotional connection or the emotional dysregulation is created by not being able to have the words to express what is going on in your body and what is going on within your head. And this happens a lot when you can't identify your emotions. So you feel something, you feel very uncomfortable, you feel restless, but you cannot locate it. And when you can't locate it, you can't name it. And when you can't name it, you can't process it. So it's a chain. And if you can process it, well, you'll escape from it. And you need a way to escape from it. So that's something incredibly to think about, because it's like, oh, maybe what we're saying is that if I don't have enough connection to my body, maybe I am using a coping mechanism that is not actually working to understand it, but it's working against it. And I know that a lot of you might be thinking, but like, that's not me. I don't even know how I'm feeling half of the time, or like I'm feeling fine. I just feel that I need a drink. And that is not a character flaw. This is a skill, and it's a learned skill. So you taught your brain and your body that to understand what's going on, you need a drink. And that's why practices like yoga and meditation and journaling, it's not just about wellness trends that we see on Instagram or on TikTok, but they're more about introspective training. So it's to teach you how to talk about what you're feeling, to name it, to tolerate it, and to understand that those are internal states, and that you can deal with them without having to reach for help from anything else. So this ability helps you and teaches you how to sit with that discomfort without immediately needing to escape that discomfort, and when real moderation becomes a possibility. So there are different ways to develop this interoception. As I said, there's yoga, there is meditation, there is journaling, there is movement. But at the end, it's all about creating a space between the stimuli and the response. That is where freedom really, really lives. And that's what we are trying to build through the awareness, right? So now we're going to talk a little bit about what alcohol really does to your brain, because understanding what is happening physiologically to you and to your body, it's something very, very empowering because you can name what's going on. So this isn't about scary information. This is about information to clarify. So alcohol can be, and it's named as a depressant. So it actually slows down your central nervous system. And it does it primarily by binding something called the GABA, the GABA receptors, which is your brain's main ability to calm down, which is the main neurotransmitter to calm down. And it's like the little breaks from your nervous system that help you, like, okay, we're overcharged, we need to break a little bit, we need to increase a little bit of more pause. That's what the neurotransmitters do. So what it essentially does, and what alcohol essentially does, it supercharges those breakers. So it increases the frequency of the neural numbing in a way, which makes you feel more relaxed, less anxious, more socially fluid. And during the short term, that's a great picture. But after a while, you create something that it's a sense of like withdrawal, which is you would need more to feel the exact same level of calmness. And when you're using it constantly, when you're using alcohol constantly, this is where it gets very, very important, because your brain adapts. And because your brain has this amazing ability of being smart and adaptation, it's like, okay, I need this external thing to be here, to be constantly pumping our brakes to calm down and to reduce that natural stress that comes with life. So it supercharges our receptors. And this ends in the result that you need more alcohol to feel the exact same effect. So it kind of like down regulates your ability to calm down and to find calmness and just release, or just be able to name whatever you're going through. And when you take alcohol away, your brain is now kind of just, okay, where do I get this brakes? Because it's like taking the brakes away. Like you're just like going on a highway, no brakes. And that's when the body goes into overdrive and it goes into withdrawal. So that's why stopping abruptly can be very physically like dangerous, in a way that it's like you get more cravings. It's so tough to just like willpower your way through it. And this is why adaptation really, really matters, because if you are not physically dependent, your brain has learned that alcohol equals calmness. So your brain starts to anticipate whenever there's stress, oh, alcohol is coming your way. And this is where the downregulation happens, and all the other systems in your body stop working, because it's like, oh, we're going to have something else coming in and helping us out. And this is where we start spiking our cortisol. We don't have a way to handle that cortisol spike, and it acts like a reward in your brain. Like, oh, cortisol interacts with your brain as a reward system and promotes the habit-based learning. So when you're stressed, your brain doubles down in the habits that it has. So it continues with the habit of drinking. So what you've done repeatedly before, it becomes more automatic. So it's very wild to think like, oh, like I am going in a loop. I constantly, with what I thought it was helping me, deal with my emotions and deal with my circumstances, it's actually making me want it more. So the science is very, very humbling, but it's also very freeing, because that means that you are not weak. It's actually that you're human and that your brain is doing what it's exactly meant to be doing, which is creating associations, trying to survive, and finding relief from pain. That's the main thing. And also creating automatic patterns for efficiency. So the work is not about fighting the automatic patterns or the brain's ability to build those automatic patterns. Is about redirecting them and some other patterns becoming your second nature. So there's a way that we can do that, and we've established that we have the default mode network that can run wild, and that body awareness is key, and that alcohol works in a very neurological level in our brain. So now we're going to be talking about, okay, what actually works to create a change? Because we know all this, we have all this background information, but what can help me create a change? And I want to start this by saying something that might surprise you, and it's meditation. And meditation can physically change your brain. There have been many studies, and there is a study that they used fMRI technology, which found out that people who meditate show significant reduced activity in the key hubs of the default mode network activation. So what it means is that people who meditate ruminate less, and people who meditate feel less anxious, and people who meditate can actually decrease those self-referential thoughts that are negative and just heavy to deal with. And more interesting, the meditation suppresses the DMN activity more effectively than other like cognitive focus tasks. So it doesn't distract you from the situation in hand, but it helps you transform the situation in hand from a resting state. So your brain's default is to become calmer when you're facing any situation. And so you're actually training your brain to stay calm under any circumstances. And this works across different styles of practices. So you can have a focused concentration, you can have mindfulness, you can have loving and kindness, you can have open awareness. What it means is you access a calm state of mind before any decision making, and that will give you the consistency. But like right now, we don't need to become like a meditation guru for it to work. It's in the short, tiny, regular moments that you can shift the pattern. So neuroplasticity really doesn't care about perfection per se, but it does care about repetition. So holding yourself accountable of like, okay, I'm going to meditate. Today I'm going to meditate. I can meditate in the morning. I can meditate at lunchtime before going to bed. It's something very important, that it's okay. I just need to do this. 5 minutes. I don't need to just like put my mind to blank, because that's impossible. Your brain is meant to be thinking. It's so important for you to know that putting your mind at blank is not the case. It's about being present and being in the moment. There are different ways to achieve that. There's guided meditations, there's walking meditation, and research shows that there are experiences like hiking in the nature or swimming in the ocean or standing underneath like a massive sky full of clouds and just looking at the clouds that can quiet down the default mode network. So it shifts your perspective from a personal narrative to I am in a vast world with a lot of things going on, and suddenly your problems feel much more manageable. So that's the most important thing. It's like creating those meditation moments does not mean that you have to sit quiet and still for 3 hours. Not at all. It's about putting things into perspective, and it's about prioritizing the change from the self-referential thinking to something greater than you or me or us. And people who actually value and prioritize, for example, nature and movement and creativity and connection, they do tend to have a healthier relationship with themselves, with the people around, and with substances around, such as alcohol. So not because they're morally superior or not because they have it figured out, it's because they have the DMN regulation tools. And I really want to come back to something very important, and it's the celebration rituals, because this is where moderation really becomes something very, very practical. So, for example, you have a dinner, you have a celebration, someone got promoted, something, and you have this event where you know there's going to be alcohol, and where it's pleasurable to be there and to drink and to enjoy and to feel joyful. And where real moderation is not about like saying no absolutely to alcohol or to situations that have alcohol around. It's more about knowing your limits and how to regulate your nervous system when your limits are being just like touched or are being confronted in a way. And it's about creating awareness with a plan that feels good, that aligns with you and not with deprivation. So, for example, it's moving your body that day before going to the celebration. That is a way that you can just ask yourself the question, oh, do I really want to drink this? I move my body. I feel super connected to my body. I feel healthy and I feel strong. Do I really want to drink alcohol right now? There's also another way that it's like you checked in with yourself and you had a really amazing dinner with like nutrient-based, nutrient-rich dinner. So, or lunch before the celebration. It's like, oh, like, do I actually want this? Like, do I want to drink? Well, I feel like full and just content and just that I'm digesting. So it's actually postponing that drink. And it helps you like, oh, maybe I don't want it right now. And that is a moment of awareness. And also, it could be the check-in with yourself of what do I actually need? You can ask yourself the question, and it can be rest, it can be connection, it can be celebration. And when you arrive to that celebration, you know what you're looking for. So you can start looking for that. Okay, do I need connection? Let's go and talk to people. Do I want to feel joy? So I'll be the first one to congratulate the person who's celebrating, or I'll be the first one to tell everyone why I'm celebrating today. So it becomes a choice. it really does become a choice. And when you practice it even more and more, one choice become two choices and then three choices, and not from an autopilot side, not from a unconscious choice. It becomes something from awareness and from your own agency. So this is why unconscious moderation app is something very interesting, and I want to share with you because what we talked about today could resonate with you in a lot of ways. And it's we talked a lot about different psychological perspectives and things that go around in our heads without us even noticing. So asking ourselves the question of okay, now I understand the background, so what do I do with this? So that question really comes up a lot. And how do I actually build the tools to help me not go into my default mode network? Or how can I build the tools to help me understand where I'm going into autopilot, or when I'm feeling so activated and I need to do the full introspection and connection with my own body. So that's where unconscious moderation comes in, where the thing is that we understand that our brains work in unconscious patterns, and our cognitive activity, it's only 5%. Our conscious cognitive activity is only 5%. The rest of it is unconscious, and that also includes our drinking behaviors. So they do really start underneath the surface, and understanding the unconscious mind, understanding why we drink, understanding how alcohol plays a role in our life, it gives us a chance to change that old program, and it gives us a chance to change that autopilot. So the unconscious moderation app works from the unconscious mind through 3 science-based habits. So the first one we talked about, it's about meditation or hypnotherapy. So it activates the relaxation response that trains your nervous system to come back whenever it's activated. So you can access that moment of calmness naturally and not with anything else. Then there's journaling, which is we start to learn how to talk the language of the unconscious mind that drives our choices. And writing down funnels all the things that are going on in your head, they can be funneled through writing. So it helps you just maybe put the brakes in that rumination. And for example, it could be something that can help you go through life with breaks and not break less, like we were talking about, and regulate yourself in a different way rather than through alcohol. So that's one, journaling. And the third tool would be the movement. So with movement, you can generate dopamine and serotonin naturally, and you don't need that external thing to help you develop them. So it will help you regulate yourself again, that down regulation that started with drinking constantly, or choosing to drink every single day, or to numb your emotions, or any choice that you made through alcohol, really. So it's a journey. It takes a while. So the first month is about abstinence. The first month is about clarity, about understanding the role alcohol played in your life and what our actual baseline looks like. Then month 2 becomes about moderation, which is a real option into understanding our body, understanding how we're feeling, understanding the signals that our body is sending to us to know when to stop, how to stop, and when it's enough. And just choose from a moment of awareness and not from autopilot. And the month 3 is about reinforcement of all those new patterns and reinforcement about the development of yourself. So just to finish up and wrap up, and before we close, I want to give you something that is very practical that you can start doing this week, which is a self-care ritual that is not about wellness influencers or Instagram or anything like that. It's more rooted in what we talked about today. So it's the pause check-in ritual. So it's something very specific and very useful in a lot of situations, which is the first step is to move for 5 minutes. So before you go out, before you are faced in a situation where you need to make a conscious choice, move your body. Go for a walk, do some jumping jacks, put your legs up the wall. This releases all those chemicals that make you feel great and make you feel connected to your own body. So it generates dopamine and it begins to regulate you. And that way you can arrive to wherever you're going in a calmer state. Then a second step would be do a body scan. So close your eyes and for 60 seconds, ask yourself, where am I holding tension? What emotion is present right now? Is it excitement? Is it anxiety? Am I tired? Try and name it. Try to put words to it. And that starts to activate your prefrontal cortex to understand that emotion and to know how to deal with it, not to be overrode by the emotion. Then a third step would be set an intention. So set an intention not from restriction, but from awareness. So don't say, I will only have 1 drink or 2 drinks tonight. You can set an intention of tonight I want to feel energized and I want to feel present and I want to be energized next morning. So today I'm choosing to drink 2 drinks. And how you tell that story is so powerful. How you tell the story about what you're choosing and not what you're missing. So you are not withholding, you're not backing down, you're not talking from a moment of restriction. You're talking from a moment of awareness. And then a step 4 would be go and have a check-in during the celebration. Go to the bathroom, take some slow breaths, put some water in your face, and ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? What is my body telling me? Is it like, am I tired now? Do I want to go home? I don't need to stay to the end. Or I am feeling great and I'm feeling confident. I found people that support me and have been great to be around, and that's awesome. So it reactivates that connection with yourself, with your body, with your own awareness to make that conscious choice. A step 5 would be to close the evening. You close the evening with a gratitude practice. So it's not of like the gratitude of, I was good tonight. It's a gratitude from the connection that you had, from the experiences that you had, from the being there and being present that you had, and it helps you consolidate those positive emotions and memories that you have during the night, and not through that, I didn't do this right, or I drank one more, or I failed. More about what did you do right and why are you grateful for that. And this ritual won't be perfect. Sometimes you'll forget. Sometimes you'll remember. Some nights you will be super loud and messy and you'll skip a step. Or some other nights you'll be following every step. The idea is that you build a ritual that works for you, because progress, it's not linear. Progress and awareness is not something that you develop once and it's forever. You gotta keep on working on it. So today we covered a lot. We did cover a lot and it's so interesting. So remember, we talked about the default mode network, which is your brain storytelling and how powerful it is, how you tell yourself the story about your life. We talked about the interoception. So it's the ability to feel and name whatever you're feeling in your body and whatever is happening inside of you. And to build a skill to be able to find that real foundation of emotional regulation. We talked about alcohol and what's actually going on with your head and in your body when you're using alcohol or when you're drinking alcohol, and the different changes that your body goes through and how we can develop those changes or when we develop the awareness from alcohol, how can we develop other tools that give us that same awareness? So like the meditation, the physical movement, the journaling, that can rewire our tools and our ways to handle life through neuroplasticity. And we talk about real moderation, that and how it looks like. It's not about deprivation, and it's not about counting or not counting. It's about being present and being conscious and understanding your body. So it's more about being able to differentiate how it feels so you can be aware and say, okay, today I just did 2 and it's okay. Or maybe next day I will do 1 and that's okay because I reached however I felt that I wanted to reach, and that's fine by me because that is worth it. And it's so worth it to have that connection to your body. It's so, so beautiful. And I just want to say one more thing. And if you've been in a pattern with alcohol that you are really not feeling like it represents you right now, and whether you're drinking 1 glass too many or you're feeling that that's your out on stressful nights and when life gets difficult, and you are feeling that you don't want to wake up fuzzy or that you don't want to wake up feeling shame or regret, you have a very human brain. It's important to treat it with kindness. And you are more capable of change than you actually know. And remember, transformation does not require perfection. It does require awareness. And if what we talked about today clicked for you in any way, and you are noticing that your relationship with alcohol does need a change, give the Unconscious Moderation app a try. We help you and we support you along the way to change and to rewire those unconscious patterns so you can transform your perspective and create a lasting transformation from the inside out. Stay conscious and stay free. See you on our next live. Hope you have a great night.